Shapeli Manyora, welcome back to Matumza Productions, back again with another video. Today's video I have a private school Amapiano mixing and mastering tutorial. So I'm going to be showing you guys today how I took this mix down and turned it into this master. But we're going to be focusing on the mix because, as I've stated in previous videos, Machita, 80% focus goes to mixing, the 20% is the mastering, because if you don't have a good mix, the master is going to be bad. So let's take a look at the mix down for this track. So the track that we're going to be using today is a single that I just dropped, 11 minutes of excellence. My day one's not 10 minutes. If you're a day one Matumza fan, you know 10 minutes of excellence. So we went ahead and did a dope revisit featuring Tahuru, obvious, you know, Papta, Mr. Rams, of course, on the violin, and actually the first ever student on Matumza Productions, Go Across. You guys should actually follow him on the socials, expect him on the channel soon. Very dope. And yeah, man, we made the dope remix of 10 minutes of excellence. We added an extra minute, so it's 11 right now on tour. So what we're going to be doing is taking a look at the mixing process. I'm going to be showing you some of the plugins that I used to clean up this audio, you know, taking a look at some dope third-party plugins that I use for my mixing that you know, maybe you can pick up on and use in your own mixes. And then yeah, man, I do offer mixing and mastering services, so if you gents are interested, my contact details are in the description. But without wasting any more time, let's break this down element by element and see what did I do here, what did I do here, and by the end of this video you should be a better engineer. So the first thing that we're gonna do is just take a listen to the track a little bit so that you guys have an idea of the feel. Private school, you know, private school Amapiano is usually chilled, polas. It doesn't need a lot of distracting things, you know. So we want to go for a clear mix where, you know, the main element, which in this case was the violin, needs to be pop out. The chord progressions need to sound warm. Your bass line needs to be in the middle. We'll talk about all these things as we progress in the video, but right now the first thing that we can do is just take a listen to the track a little bit and have an understanding of the feel so that we can talk about the mix better. Alright, Manora, you've heard a bit of the production, amazing stuff. So now what we're gonna do is break the track down section by section. We're gonna be looking at the drums, the bass, the chords, the violin, the vocals, and just talk about the creative process of mixing this whole thing. So what I'm gonna do is switch on everything one by one as we progress with the song. So the first thing that I'm gonna switch on is the kick, and what I found is a dope technique, especially for house music and Amapiano, is that when you put your kick in mono, it sounds so much cleaner. So that's what I like to do with my kick, in mono, and then just apply small cut there by the low end, and then this is the first loop that I had. I actually processed it more before this, but this is the cut that I did. And then we have our chorus loop, standard. I just cut the low end, and then I add another house loop just to give it more structure and make it more full on tone. Then I add another one. This is a clap, very faint clap that just layers and makes it more full. And then I add another drum loop where I cut low end frequencies. Same thing with these cowbells. With these cowbells, so when I use a multi-band compressor, I like this bright preset because it just gives it life, it makes it bright. So let me switch it off. As you can hear, like it's missing, but as soon as I apply that multi-band compressor, it's more in your face. And then I feel like nowadays, as private school producers, we've overused kids in the background. So what I usually like to add nowadays for ambience is birds, Plus, my signature, so I've got these dope birds in the background for ambience, and I just cut the low end frequency, added a bit of vintage phaser. This plugin is dope, guys. This plugin is dope. You should just play around with it in your own time. And then what's this? It's another house loop, faintly, just to add to the structure. So that's basically my drum loop on tour. So let's play everything unmixed so that you can hear the difference between the mixed and the unmixed. This is when my drums are unmixed. And now this is when my drums are mixed. Can you hear the difference, nah? Sounds so much cleaner. And it's simple, Joe. It's that low end frequency cutting technique that I keep emphasizing. Even in the first mixing and mastering video, we were just using stock plugins. I emphasize that cutting low end frequencies is one way to just better your mixes completely on tour. So let's look at the chord progression now. Nice and soulful, Joe. Sharper low end cut nyana. Add some stereo and some stereo shaper, some stereo enhancer, a little bit of delay. And I always like to add my reverb to the side here. I create a pass and I send it so that I can control how much reverb I'm applying to the chords. So this is what my chord progression sounds like mixed. Nice and warm. But if I switch it off, all the effects, this is what my chord sounds like. So you hear the difference. It's not as bright, but when I add those effects, oh, so warm, man. so warm, so warm. So we can take a look at this pad. I like to use this pad. It's from Harmless, Less Than Stable. Usually just cut the low end, add a fruity stereo enhancer, and I like to use the 4 strings preset. And then I do add a little bit of reverb to the side. So without the effects, this is what my pad sounds like. And with my effects, this is what my pad sounds like. Not much of a difference, but hey man, on turn. And then we've got our effects. I usually don't add much to the effects. I just like them the way they are. Unless maybe now I'm hearing too much unnecessary frequencies, then I'll start cutting. But effects, I genuinely just leave them how they are, and you know, outside the level mixing. Oh, this chord is too much. So the next thing we can look at is the first bass line, the sub bass that comes in when that chord starts adding passing notes and becomes more colorful. That's when we add this first sub bass. And like I said, and with basses, I like to just cut a little bit of that low end frequency, not too much, but it's more about adjusting the level more than anything. I'm sorry. The next thing we can look at is this Woodblock. I added some reverb to the Woodblock from stereo shaper. With the stereo shaper pipeline behind buffet. Let me actually just let me show you what stereo shaper does, because sometimes you want to find space in a mix for a particular sound, but panning it and making it stereo and mono doesn't really work all the time. So I like to use stereo shaper because it allows me to then find space for this in the mix. I'm creating space for it in the mix. So I love this plugin. And then the last thing I added was an EQ, boosted some of those highs, cut down the low end frequency. Then we can look at this synth here. Cut some of that low end frequency. Fire delay, some vintage phaser and a sound goodizer boosting those lower mids. Para ta. And then we got some shakers here. I usually just cut low end frequency as well for shakers. I don't really do much. If I wanted to stand out, I'll do that multi-band, add that multi-band compressor and so on. And then we got this cowbell. I just cut the low end frequencies and I stereo shaper. Unmixed, you can't even hear it, but mixed, it's in your face. Okay, so my chance, I've played you a build up of the chords, the drums, the pads, some of the melodies that are playing. Right now, we're gonna take a look at the Logdrum. Oh, and in my Logdrum, I don't even do much. I just apply small cuts at the low end for the sub bass and for the log itself. Let's try. I don't do anything to my Logdrum. The key to the Logdrum is literally the presets that you use for the Logdrums. I'll do a whole video explaining Logdrums in more depth so that you guys have better techniques of applying your Logdrum. But yeah, that's what I do for my Logdrum. Then we have a hi-hats and this hey. It just adds there. And then there's this nice string ensemble that I like to use, and then I just apply for strings and a bit of reverb. Same thing with this moving bells preset. My vibraphone, added some sound quantizer, stereo enhancer, some stereo shaper, and some parametric EQ, and then added some reverb, some delay on the side as well. So basically now we have our beat on top. This is pretty much the whole beats. And then there are just other subtle things that add and complements, such as these Brazilian drums. Listen to these. Aye, this is dope too. So here what I did is I added this multi-band compressor, used the bright presets, and then cut the low end frequencies, boosted some of the top end with the sound quantizer, and then added some slight delay. As you can see, it's very small. But when I add those effects, so I basically broke down how I mixed the production, the beats. Now we can take a look at the juicy stuff, which is the violin and the vocal recordings that are on the song. So first thing we're gonna take a look at is the violin, and I'm gonna take you through the mixing chain that I did for Rams's violin. Yeah, so we're gonna go nice and slowly here because there's a lot that I added here. So actually, let's mute everything here. This is how the raw violin recording sounds like. You can hear already the big difference. So the first thing that I added was this equalizer, and I boosted some of that mid and top end. Added a second EQ, just cutting these harsh frequencies that I was hearing. And then I wanted to make it bright, so I added the multi-band compressor. And then I added this compressor from Waves, the SSL EV2. Hey, this compressor is too much. Hey, this compressor is too much. Like Waves plugins are just top tier. And then I found this nice violin preset just to compress it, and then added some stereo enhancer to shape it nicely. Some sound pedals to boost more of your top end. Some slight reverb on the chain, little bit of delay, and then stereo enhancer. And then I added more delay on the side here. I added reverb and delay on the side here. So my violin is sounding like that, very nice and clean. If I remove the effects, this is how it sounds. And then with the effects, major difference. Alright boys, so while I was editing the video, I realized there was some technical issues with the audio, so I'm back here again. We're back. So yeah, let's just take a look at those vocals, and then we're gonna take a look at Guru's vocals as well, and then we're pretty much done with the video. So this is the mixing chain for this chant of mine, but I don't mute everything so that you guys can hear what I was doing. So the raw vocal sounds like this. So because this is something that doesn't like, it's not prominent in the song, I applied this kind of cut to it. I cut the low end, cut the high end as well, so that it has like that old telephone cut feel, it's not prominent, it's just like a background thing. And then we have this plugin called Patcher, and what we can do with Patcher is basically create a chain of plugins within Patcher. This helps with saving space here on your slots, especially when you're doing serious vocal mixing. This plugin is very effective because basically you can link one plugin to the next plugin to the next plugin and basically just create a chain. So I got this chain from a good friend of mine, Titan. Shout out to Titan. Yeah, he featured on the channel as well. So if you didn't watch that video, you wanna know who Titan is. Hey, that guy is a beast. That guy. Plug mute this thing, bro. And basically this just helps me to like make my vocal more clearer. So let me play it without the patcher, and then I'm gonna play it with the patcher so that you can hear the difference. That's without the patcher, and now when I apply it, I don't know how to describe it, but you can hear already it sounds more open. I'm sure sounds a lot more open. Let me play it without the patcher, without the EQ. And now let me play the patcher without any equalization so that you can hear. It basically makes it more, it gives the vocal, I don't know how to describe this, yes, but you can hear the difference if you're listening to this video with the proper sound system. And then the other things that I added to this vocal was just some compression, and then some stereo shape, and then basically some reverb and delay. And so very simple. I don't do crazy things. Now let's take a look at Mr. Guru's vocals. This is how they sound unmixed. So let me explain the chain. The first thing I did was just EQ his vocals, cut some of the top, cut some of the low, and then some auto tune just to correct some of the notes that he's singing. And then after that, patcher. This is without the patcher. And then this is how it sounds when I apply the patcher. It sounds more open, you can hear. And then finally the last thing I added was this fruity stereo shape, but just to make the vocal sit in its own space. And then obviously reverb and delay, which gives it much more color. And if you pay attention to my mixer stage here, you'll see that a lot of my elements are stereo, and that's because when they're in stereo, certain things just pop out more, you know. They sound so much more clearer, so much more nicer. So it's a trial and error thing, and also depends on what sounds good to your ear. You know, mixing is biased, but as long as everything is in its own space, nothing is fighting for frequencies, and you can hear all your elements clearly, then you've achieved your job. So the last thing that I'll do before I export for mastering is that I'm going to select everything in my mixer state and then take the levels down of all these knobs and make sure that my song is peaking at -6 dB. And this is to create enough headroom space so that when I master, you know, it's not gonna clip, it's not gonna be too loud. There's enough space for the master to be pushed up in terms of the volume level and the overall compression of the waveform. And then the final step before I export this is that I like to apply an EQ on the master, and then I just cut here the low end by 30 Hertz, and then apply another cut here by 20,000 Hertz at the top end, and then just apply a soft clipper. Then I export this as a waveform. So right now, this whole video we've just been looking at the final mix down, and this is what that final mix down sounds like unmastered. And now after I've done this mixing process, I go and I do my magic and I master, and it sounds like this. And that's a whole different process in itself. It's very exclusive, that one. I want more free time, sure. If you're interested, hit me up. My contact details are in the description. Let's talk business. But yeah, I hope you guys learned a thing or two from this video. Hopefully now you have a clearer idea on how to mix and master private school Amapiano. But this can even be applied to any sort of Amapiano, you get it, because the principles are the same. You just want everything to sit in the mix, have its own space, and you don't want too many elements fighting for frequencies in the same range, you get it. And if that's so, pan your elements, make sure that everything has room to breathe and room to shine. You know, everything has a different purpose in a song, so you need to accommodate all your elements to make sure that they're nice and audible. And now when we're going to be playing this on different sound systems, it's going to be clear, it's going to be sounding nice, it's going to be sounding wonderful. So as always, thank you guys for watching the videos. I hope that you guys have had a wonderful year. It's been productive. Can't wait for the next year in Matumza Productions when I come back with stronger video ideas, more engaging community video ideas. I want to do challenges where I can listen to your guys' production on camera. You know, I want to give back more to you guys, because you know, you've given me the opportunity to just do what I love and be appreciated for, you know, this gift that God gave me. So shout out to you guys, appreciate you as always, and yeah man, till the next video. Thank you.